Terrain 3D is an add-on in Godot 4 that you can be able to use to create open world games and terrains that you're going to use for your game. And in this video, we're going to be learning how to use it. And it's quite very simple to use once you actually know how to do that. Now, if you go into the Godot engine, you can be able to use that from the asset lib. And once you go into the asset lib, that's where you can be able to find this add-on and use it for free. It can be able to create realistic terrains. So right now we have a scene with a 3D controller, and we'll go into the asset lib where we can be able to do this. And once you type terrain, you can see the terrain 3D, and when you click on it, you can be able to download the add-on. Now, when you are downloading the add-on, you have to pay attention to a lot of things so that you can be able to do it well. So when you change the install folder, sometimes it's going to close. You're going to change that. If you already have an add-on folder, you can be able to change the add-on location, and you can change it. And once you change it and you accept the changes, you can be able to install. Now, sometimes it's going to turn off your Godot engine, and you can be able to change it back, and then you can transfer that terrain 3D folder back to the main add-ons folder. There should be only one add-ons folder, and once you do that, it's going to prompt you to restart. So it is if you actually made mistake when you are installing. So you have the add-ons already folder, and you can delete the old one immediately, and now you have the terrain 3D in here, and you can just go ahead to look at the folder. Now when you see the folder, you can be able to go ahead to turn. I'm going to turn off the scene. I already have the floor, so that I can be able to create my own new terrain that I'm going to use here. So I'm going to go to the project settings and go to my plugins and go into my terrains. I'm going to turn it on. So once I turn on the plugin, I can go to my root node and right click and search for terrain 3D. Now once I get my terrain 3D, I will create it. Creating that will give me a very large scene and quite very huge scene. And once I select the terrain 3D, you see that it's giving me a prompt. So I'm going to select the data directory, and I'm going to create a folder for it, where it's going to be saving the data for this terrain. So I'm going to create a folder and put it there. It's going to remove that, and then also I'm going to save the materials inside that the same folder, and also the assets. This will enable me to be able to reuse this later if I need to. Now if you select the terrain 3D, you see that you have additional tools that come up. So the first tool is for selecting different places that you can be able to add. So if the place you select are the ones that will be used. The next one will have the raised, so you can change the brushes for the raise. Is for raising different parts of that place you have selected already to be active. So once you do that, you see I'm using a different brush, and then I will reduce the size from the controls and then the strength also. Once I do that, I can be able to now begin to change the entire terrain. So once I begin to change the terrain, it's going to look more realistic with time. And I have the next tool, which is the smooth, which you can use to smoothen the terrains if you need it to be smooth, so that you can easily walk up that particular part of the terrain. The next one are the heights. So the heights are used for creating heights that come up. You can also use it to actually create cliffs and holes in the ground. So the next tool we'll have there is the slope, where you can be able to actually create slope that down a particular hill, and those are the things you can be able to create to make it look very good. Now after doing that, the next one we want to do, I've already imported textures, leafy grass, and the normals. Those are the two textures I will need to be able to repaint everything here. I got this from freepbr.com, so you can go there to download these textures for yourself. And then I'm going to re-import it, because if you don't, it's not going to work well. Change it to VRAM compressed. Once you select the texture, change the VRAM compressed, and then turn on the minimap, and then re-import it. So once you re-import it, you can be able to do that for all of the textures. Make sure you do it for all of them. If not, it's not going to work well. Now go ahead to select the tool. For if your textures are not on, you select the paint based texture, and then you can be able to open up the texture there. So when you see add the texture, you can be able to drag the texture into the albedo texture. So once you do that, you see that you already have a beautiful scene there. And you can also take the normals and put it there, and you see that it gives it the bumps to make it look even more realistic. So you can be able to change the size of your brush that you're going to be using. So next one, we want to add a second texture. We want to make it a bit different. So I want to add some grass, some part of it. So I'm going to just drag that and put it in the albedo texture too for the second texture. Now, when you want to select different textures, you can right click on them in the bar below there. Once you select it, it can be able to change it. So once you are done with that, you can be able to select the spray overlay texture. Once you select the spray overlay texture, you can be able to use that to paint a new texture over the existing base texture you already have. So you have that there, and you can be able to also change it to whatever kind of brush you actually need. If you want to have a different kind of brush, you can be able to change that very fast. So you see the textures are looking nice, although not so realistic here. So, but you can also use the base texture to be able to change it. Just right click on the first texture and you can be able to repaint that particular texture again. So once you do that, you can be able to have something much more realistic, and you change your brush. And then you can also change the color of that particular texture that you have. If it's the first or the second one, you just change the color there, and then you can be able to use that color to repaint that particular one. Make sure you're working with the first texture or the second texture. And now you can be able to see when you play the game, you have a very wonderful 3D terrain that you can be able to run on. It already has a collision on it. You don't even have to put any collision. As long as you have created a 3D character that works very well, you can be able to do that. So that's how you can be able to work with the 3D terrain in Godot 4.3. So if you like my video, do subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and I will see you in the next video.